Welcome to RSA Conference 2023. We're recording live from Broadcast Alley here in Moscone West. I'm your host, Mike Shima, and I'm here with Asaf Ashkenazi, CEO of Verimatrix. Welcome, Asaf.
Thank you very much for having me. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing very well, excited to be at the conference this year.
Yeah.
And mobile app security. I love this topic because I think of web application security quite a bit. The browsers are the new operating systems, the browsers where all the logic is. But we can't forget about mobile apps, can we? There's a lot of trust that people put into that.
Absolutely. If you look at, let's say that you lose your phone tomorrow. You are lost because we are doing everything with our phone. And it's everything with the app. Accessing your bank, if you need to get like a boarding pass when you go back home, your healthcare information. Some people have their therapist now is remote health, connecting to your car, to open it, close it, locate it. So we do everything there. And it's actually for companies, it is the connection between them and their customers.
Yes.
It's the most important thing. And if you look at the data that is there, it's all the data that you are concerned of.
So that's what's to target, exactly.
Yeah, and that's where I think it's like sometimes a blind spot because the application itself is now the new way of the hackers to get the way in, because you know how they are. They're always looking for the easy way, like everyone else in life.
Yeah.
And you know, the wonderful companies that we see here in RSA are building a lot of nice solutions. So it's becoming more and more difficult for them to go through the traditional ways. So they're looking for new ways to get in. And the app is unfortunately, one of the ways that we now see a lot of activities or malicious activity around it.
Absolutely, and you listed off a lot of the reasons why our identities, our personalities, the important things to us are on our apps, as well as the companies building those apps. They tend to have some secrets in there as well. They have intellectual property. There's a lot of things that they have to protect for themselves.
Absolutely. If you look at the companies that today utilize the phone to do a lot of the algorithmics as the computational in the edge. Let's say that you have even an example of an insulin pump. In the past, they put the brain in the pump that is connected to you, but it's expensive. You need to put the chip there. Why not use the CPU that on your phone? It's free for them, right? So they move a lot of the algorithms, a lot of the control into the app that is running on the phone, which again, open it to vulnerabilities.
Yeah, and there's got to be as well all the trend to work from home, as well as bring in the BYOD. All of that does the enterprise know what's on the app? Can they control the app versus this is my personal device? And
that's an interesting point, because when you look at BYOD, is when the employee is bringing the phone and asked to connect to the enterprise. Then the employer have more power in terms of telling them, okay, if you want to do it, you need to install my software that will monitor and get root access, which means a lot of access to your phone.
Which is scary.
But if you are going to download an app from, I don't know, your supermarket or whatever, and they tell you, oh, by the way, if you want to use our app, you need to also download an additional application that will get access to everything. What will you say? No way. So we are dealing with consumers, and this is what's unique in our solution, or what we developed, is that it stays on the app. It does not require any access to hardware or to work with anyone or to have the consumers to install things or even to ask for different permission. It just uses whatever the application has.
That's brilliant, because that's the modern way of approaching any application design, especially security, is reducing that friction. And why does this flashlight app need your geolocation? Silly things like that. But why does a security tool need all this extra privileged access? That becomes a new attack surface. That becomes a way to attack as well.
No, I agree, and this is where they're using it. You make a good example of the flashlight. What we see a lot is the application that are downloaded as a flashlight, but then they attack other applications with an attack that's called overlay. When you launch the real application, they jump in front, and they look the same, and you don't know that this is the real app. It looks exactly the same. You will put your password, but more than this, when you'll get this text message, the one-time password to verify it, they will even steal that and pass it to somebody else. The other thing that we see is really interesting, which is the misconception that Apple and Google are protecting everything in the app. Now, Apple and Google are actually doing a good job. So if you help that I will say something bad about them. I will not. But we need to look at what are they doing. They are protecting or making sure that the application does not attack the phone or does not attack any other application. Or in simple words, they have policies. And if the application does not violate these policies, the application can do whatever the application wants. Well, guess what? You can do a lot of bad things within the application. For example, if you're running a bank application and there is some malicious code there, or something code that got through your supply chain into the app, and this code decides to send the same information to another server, not just to the bank. How do you know about it? Can Apple know that this is something bad? No, it's a code in your application. They cannot know. Can Google know? No. So they're doing their job, but it's not enough. And this is where there is a need to protect the application, but not just the application itself, but also to monitor that this application, not monitoring what the users are doing in the application, but that the application is behaved normally. And there are companies that are trying to do it from the server, from the cloud, to just look. But without seeing what's going on there, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to see just from the traffic that something is wrong, because the hackers are using the application traffic and it all looks normal. So these solutions are saying, hey, it's an Apple app or a Google app. It's behaving in the same communication that we expect. It's good to go.
How much visibility can you get? You can get only so much just from that network traffic, from what it's hitting the API, versus this is what is actually inside the app. And to your point, Google, Apple want those sandboxes to separate so that they, all these apps can play well together, but not really communicate unless they're allowed to. But they don't know that this app isn't supposed to be siphoning credentials, doing something with your data, or what was that supply chain of the, what's this, what got snuck into this particular web app?
Exactly that. Also, the information that it's in the app itself, as you mentioned. We talked to some gray hat, or the people that do pen testing to find. I asked them, what do you do to start attack the application server? Say, well, the first thing that I do is I see if they have an app. Then I download the app. Then I reverse engineer it. And in about 5 minutes, I find the credentials that allow me to connect.
There's the
back,
API
right?
key. Yeah, exactly.
So the key is there in the app, and it's not protected. Now, they still need to attack the server, and there is a lot of, but they already saved themselves or bypassed the security that the company paid millions to just by using that. So there is a lot of new things that are now happening with the apps that hackers saying, how can we utilize that resource in order to get what we want faster?
Indeed, and there's also the types of attacks to say, I'm going to create this bot version of the mobile app because I have the API key, I know the API access, so I can do things like buy concert tickets or squat on those. There's lots of other additional things with fraud. You can charge, just checking some credit card numbers. Is this valid, not valid, and then go, take advantage of that way too. So it's not even, it goes beyond just what's the information in that mobile app too.
Yeah. We saw an example, a good example, what some of them are doing. They download your app, they reverse engineer it, they include their code, malicious code, to do different things. But the thing is that the app is still functioning as it intended because it's your original app. You just added the code there. Then they send a text message to the victim saying there is a new update or you've been selected to use the one, right? Not everybody, a lot of people ignore it, but some will install it. But when they will launch the app, the malicious one, it will actually connect, let's say it's a bank, it will actually connect to your bank account because it's running it has the real credentials. And the user has no way to know that it's not the real app.
Yeah, we shouldn't be blaming the user for that one either, yeah.
But we saw them even doing things that are bolder. They are taking to some famous chat, let's say, that is happening, and they're saying, this is the gold version. We saw it in India, I think it was in India. This is the gold version, and you get more features. So they developed features that users want that are not available in the right chat. And they're saying you're now selected to try it because you're a premium user to try it. So people say, well, maybe it's not. I'll try it. I download it, but it works. It's connected to the real chat server because it's the real application with the real credentials, and they're using it. But guess what? all the information also goes to the hackers.
That's amazing. And that's what's also to, as I mentioned, we don't blame the users for that type of thing. It's more of why aren't Google and Apple only have so much that they can see into this. So we as information security industry need to have that visibility, need to figure out what is going on, distinguish good versus bad apps.
Right, but we need to also help it and make it easier. And that's very, very important for our approach, right? This is why we're saying it's like friendly security or whatever you want to call it. Not friendly user, but friendly security. What does it mean? A lot of the solutions require the application developer to take a library, an SDK, and they need to integrate it to their app. And a lot of companies using also a third party to develop it. That's make it very complicated. Not just from the engineering. Believe it or not, there are other people that can make it difficult, like lawyers and other. Okay, so who do you sign the agreement with? Do you have an NDA? But it's a third party who is reliable. And you start to make it difficult. And company needs to move fast. They need to update their application fast. So even if you protected that with the developers and tomorrow they need to do a patch and you're telling them, okay, you need to wait now 3 days, they will say, you're ruining my business. I prefer the hackers to ruin my. So we developed a technology that called zero code technology. And we basically don't use an SDK. We take the application after it's finished. Actually, we can take your application from the App Store, download it, protect it, and you can put it back. So it's automatically protecting. And this thing that sounds like small, it doesn't change the security, but it sounds small. It's actually very important because we want to make it very easy for customers to use security, because if you hurt their revenue, their business, then you're not doing a good service as a security company.
Right.
And that's what we are trying to always remember when we develop our products.
And the easier we can make security to be adopted, is more likely the security will be present, and that's the future we definitely want to see.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Asaf, this has been, hopefully we see more of this future, especially for mobile app security, and we see more from Verimatrix as well.
Yes, I'm sure you will.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us. And for everyone out there, if you want to learn more about Verimatrix, visit securityweekly.com/VerimatrixRSAC. Stick around. We have a lot more coming up on our live stream.